Wanna Talk. Welcome to Beside One Fern, back in the USA. Dee Snider, I Want to Talk. You know that. You know all those things. Where do I start? This is so weird because I was laying in bed this morning thinking about what I was going to talk about this week, and I try to reflect on the different things that we're conversing about, that you're reacting to on social media. We've already been through this. I won't bore you again. If you're a new viewer or listener, go back, because you can view and listen to this, by the way. It is filmed before a live audience. It is filmed. So if you're just listening and you're new to this, you go back to previous episodes, and I talk about what I'm drawing on to do these shows. So let me just see, make sure that the timer is going, and never start the timer. I sort of just do it on the fly, just go by feel. My feel's pretty good, but a lot of times I've set up a timer and then never did anything with it. By the way, there's some noises going on in the background here. Let's see. Can you hear this here? Let's listen. You hear that? That's a printer printing out a court document for that ongoing case in Australia where the Australian Donald Trump is using "We're Not Going to Take It" illegally. And this guy's supposed to be a billionaire. I think it may be another, Trump situation where it's not proven, but he says he's a billionaire. He's definitely wealthy. And he has this way of just sort of running roughshod over any laws, rules, or regulations. And he has started using "We're Not Going to Take It," a re-recording. We redid the words for a political campaign. And he's very much does not reflect what I stand for. And he decided that he wasn't going to pay to use the song. So now my publishing company is suing him, and rather than saying, okay, I'll stop using it, he is fighting it, claiming that I don't have any rights to the song. First he claimed that a ghostwriter who I never paid wrote the song. Then he claims that because there's a influence from "Oh Come All Ye Faithful" in the song, that I had never had any rights to the song. And he's also claiming that his version is original. I'm not going to sing it. You just have to take my word for it. It's, other than changing the words, he actually tried to make the singer sound like me. So meanwhile, the case is ongoing. He's continuing to run ads. He just spends a shitload of money on advertisements, political advertisements, using the song. We can't stop him because Australian laws are different than U.S. laws, and also that he's challenging my right to the copyright that I've had since 1984. He's challenging my right to that. So that's the printing of court documents that I have to, after I'm done here, I got to go and get notarized and shipped out to Australia, and it's an ongoing court battle, so that's going on. But that was just explaining the noise in the background. I've just want to again say, if you've been listening regularly, please consider subscribing to the show. I've been imploring. Imploring's not an unfair word. I've been kind of imploring you to please subscribe to the show, because it needs subscribers. I'm getting more and more and more listeners, which is great, and I love you listening. But if, we've talked about that as well in past shows as well. Feel free to take a taste at the fruit stand. Have a grape, have a strawberry, see if you like it. But then if you like it, buy it. Don't steal the box of strawberries. So, and the subscription, it's like $9 a month. It's at Guest Digital Media, and you get all sorts of bonuses. You get the show first. Now I'm starting to have commercials. So If you subscribe, you get it without any commercial interruptions. You also get it before anybody else gets, and you get bonus footage or bonus record, questions or my manager, he films a lot when I'm doing things on the road. So I'm trying to include some special stuff for subscribers. So please consider. Oh, and you get access to all the other great Gas Digital Media shows, and there's some really good ones. STD, Jamie Josta, Dice Man's on there. I think he was on there. Dice and I started at the same time. I'm hoping he's still going for it. Because it's definitely, for the uninitiated, it is, and for guys who are busy doing other things, it can be tough to find the time to do these things. Even this one, I'm recording mere hours before I have to upload it to my producer so that he can get it ready for tomorrow. It'll be on, and tomorrow, Wednesday is when the subscribers get it. Then the following Monday is when it's available to the public for free. So consider subscribing. There's even a special, and I don't have the information for you, but there's even a special subscription rate. You get $7, a trial and all that stuff. If you have the means, go for it. I need you. If you want to keep doing the show, Gas Digital Media, it's got to be profitable to Gas Digital Media, and honestly to me as well. Okay, so, and it's so funny because there's so many things. Like at the New Frontier, you can say, well, the podcast has been around for a while. It's not a new frontier, but in many ways it's new, and it's still new enough that there's things that crafts that I've developed, particularly, my brand, my name, and my voiceover. I've been doing voiceover for decades now. And doing podcasts, you're expected, to attach your name to products for free. And that's not a celebrity thing to do that, but it's part of the podcast thing. And I get paid to do commercials with my voice, and I'm expected to read and do commercials for free. And I'm doing it. It's part of the podcast thing. But it's a learning curve. And you got to, say, hey, do I want to do this? Do I want to make this happen? If you can actually have a successful podcast, yes, it can be lucrative. And yes, it's a great way to reach people. And again, if this camera is crooked, which I'm getting the feeling it is, I'm not a fucking roadie. One of the things I told, that's another thing. I'm roadieing. I mean, I'm setting up my own camera, my own mics. I'm wrapping wires. I became a singer, so I wouldn't have to do that. And now I'm a roadie. So sorry if the camera looks a little crooked, but if I start straightening it out, it's just going to throw a whole kink in the whole thing. See, my head's being cut off. The frame's awful. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? So okay, I talked about subscribing. So let me see if I can address some things. Oh, I was going to tell you a joke. So somebody tweeted, you got those, how do you know there's a drummer? Well, some of you may not know. There's a series of musician jokes. How do you know a drummer's at the front door? The knock speeds up. How do you get rid of a bass player at your front door? Pay for the pizza. Those kind of things. And of course, go with that. There's how many drummers, bass players, guitar players does it take to change a light bulb jokes? And I wrote my own for the singers because it was one for singers, but it really was just a variation on another one. And I created my own. It was how many lead singers does it take to change a light bulb? The answer is, what do I look like, a fucking roadie? Okay, so if you know anything about lead singers, which is going to lead me into my first conversation. So I am not on a new show. I'm the judge on a TV show called Who Will Rock You? And it is, it's on America's Got Talent, American Idol type show, except it's instead of singers and individuals, it's bands. It's an old school battle of the bands. And Top Golf, they are producing the show. It's a second season. And me and Kerry Kasem are the celebrity judges. And it's one of those shows where the audience has the ultimate say, which is cool. And I really enjoyed doing it. We filmed the show already. So it's airing now, though. This season is airing now. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely have something to say to bands. And they're not all metal bands. There are metal bands in there. There's rock bands. There's country bands. There's all kinds of bands competing. And one of the things I've learned over the years, I used to think that, being a metalhead was a very specific thing, and nobody could understand what a metalhead was dealing with besides other metalheads, particularly in people in bands. But over the years of doing reality TV, shows like Gone Country, which was a show I did a number of years ago, where 6 or 7 singers were taken to Nashville and taught to be country artists. And we had to not only, we shot skeet, we rode quads, we mucked stalls on a farm, we did charity work because, country people are so connected to that. And you know what? They kind of are. We did a bunch of things, and then we had to write a country song and perform it, and mine was a country rock song called 30. The Twisted Sister wound up recording later after the show was over. But I was on the show with Bobby Brown was my roommate, Cisco, Carney Wilson, Julio Iglesias Jr., Diana DeGarmo from American Idol, and Maureen McCormick, Marsha. She wasn't an official singer, but she can sing. And they rounded things out, so it was 4 guys, 3 girls. And we lived in I'll get as a little aside, I'll tell you about it. We lived in a 40,000 square foot log cabin that Barbara Mandrell, the country singer, had built for her family. It was a mansion, but it was made of logs. This thing was huge. The biggest log cabin in the world. And we lived there for 2 weeks, Big Brother style. So we had, they took our phones, they took our computers, no books, no newspapers, no managers, no contact. Phones were tapped, cameras all over the place in the house. Every place had a camera except the bathrooms. And we lived there for 2 weeks. But on that show and then on Celebrity Apprentice, I learned that even though Bobby Brown and Cisco and Carney Wilson and Julio Iglesias Jr., we have very different, musical styles, separate that, and our experiences in our lives were very much the same. And I'm not talking about drugs or that kind of stuff. I'm just about the being in the music business, the things we had to deal with. We all perform in the same venues. For example, we all have tour managers. We're all on the bus or on the plane. We're all, we all have managers and agents and things like that. So I discovered that we had a lot more in common than we were different. And I was bringing that up because so I can watch a country band on Who Will Rock You and, and critique them, not based on the music, but the commonality that we have as performers. Performing is performing. And you have an audience, you've got staging, you've got the sound, you've got your songs, you've got, are you connecting with the crowd? So I found it really, I found it kind of enjoyable actually to not only to judge these bands, but when judging them, you're critiquing them at the same time. If you're a good judge, you can't just say, I didn't like that. You got to say, I didn't like that, and here's why. You did this wrong. This is what you should have done. So Who Will Rock You? I'm hoping to do more with them in the future. Me and the show producers seem to really hit it off, and they seem to really like what I did. So one of the things they did with me is they did the Rules of Rock with Dee Snider. And they sat me down and they just fired questions off at me. And I'm going to say, by the way, this is a really cool water bottle. I've been trying to drink more water because apparently I went to a doctor for my throat because my throat was fucking up. And the doctor says, you're a little dehydrated. How much water do you drink? And I said, about 15 cups a day. I don't think I said 15. It was probably more like 8. And he goes, you drink 8 cups of water? I said, yeah, poured over coffee beans, but it's still water. And turned out that I didn't drink any water unless it was with coffee. And coffee dehydrates you and, whatever. So I'm trying to drink more water. And one of my sons gave me this bottle that hooks up to an app, and it like flashes if I'm not drinking enough water. And the app sends me messages, hey, glug, glug, time to have some more water. So I didn't get a message. I'm just going to have some water because I'm a little parched. And you got to watch. So they did the rules of, they did Dee Snider's Rules of Rock. And they fired questions off at me. And I'm really good at like rapid fire things and reacting. I learned that on the Howard Stern show. And I was on the Howard Stern show, I haven't been on in years, but those who are Stern fans from way back when he was in New York and Philadelphia know that I was like, and actually I know that the Best of Stern plays a lot of things that I was on. Howard and I were like inseparable for a while, and I did the show a lot. When I was off the road, I'd be there, 2, 3, 4 times a week sometimes, just hanging out. I would ride in with Howard in the mornings. We lived near each other. Meet up in the morning. We'd limo in. He always took a limo in because he'd do transcendental meditation in the car on the way to the show. And then we'd get there, 5:30, whatever, roll in. We do the show from 6 to like 11, and then we drive back to the island, And so I learned a lot about radio. I sort of absorbed it, sitting and being on the Stern show. And I learned I needed to be quick and needed to be good. And I was, but I got better and better at reacting and responding to questions. So a lot of times when I go to TV shows or anything like that, almost always, they want to they say, here, we'll show you the questions. And because people like to have the questions ahead of time because they can prepare themselves. And I tell them, don't show me. I want to react to it. I want it to be just like, here's a question, bam, here's my response, like a genuine response. And I don't want to overthink it. And if I know the questions, I start thinking about it and then processing it and wording it. And it just becomes less genuine, less authentic. So I'm very big on just reacting to questions. So Who Will Rock You did, like how to be a rock star questions or whatever. And they fired off a bunch at me. And I did my thing. I'm really good at responding, reactive. And I also, in that format, where they hit a question answer, you have less time to apologize, qualify, think about it, and because that's what we tend to do. We check ourselves, and was that PC, and was that an overstatement or whatever, and I tend to make overstatements. My wife will be the first one to tell you. She calls me on it all the time. I go, that never happens. Never. And then go, well, once in a while, but the point is the majority of the time. But you want to be entertained by the answer. So I like to be reactive. And so I gave my answers on questions, and they may not be, first of all, they're my opinion, so people get a grip. I want to tell you about my newest sponsor, Earpiece. Have you ever had your ears ring after a loud show? Yeah, tell me about it. Well, your sonic hangover may be a sign of permanent hearing loss. Well, that sucks. The good news, noise-inducing hearing loss is 100% preventable. Sure, you could stop going to concerts, but yeah, we know that's not happening. Earpiece high-fidelity earplugs are precision-engineered to lower the volume without distorting the music. You get full-spectrum sound, just at a safer, more comfortable level. I know I never wore ear protection when I was a kid, and I realized when I got a little bit older, it was time to do something about it, protect what's left of my hearing, and earpiece is the right thing for that. And here's what's great about earpiece. High fidelity audio. The proprietary attenuation filter technology delivers clear, crisp sound. HD includes medium, high, and max protection filter sets, so you're ready for any environment. The comfort of these things is amazing. You'll forget you're wearing earpiece. The dual flange design gently seals the ear with no hard edges. Earpiece uses safe, soft, premium silicone that is hypoallergenic and reusable, which is really cool. It's discreet, man, okay? Earpiece is virtually invisible and also comes in your skin tone, so no one will know you're wearing hearing protection. I mean, if you really care about what people think. The low-profile design basically disappears in your ear. And value? Well, they only use premium medical-grade silicone. Earpiece will not wear out or break. They include an ultra-premium milled aluminum case, which is really nice, with 2 chambers, so you always have your spare plug. And trust, there's a reason bands like Metallica, festivals like Lollapalooza and I are using earpiece. Why? Earpiece hearing protection is professional grade, and they guarantee it 100%. So, if you're making music or going to live concerts, you need earpiece. It's going to save your ears and improve your playing, listening experience. So go to earpiece.com and please use promo code D15 for 15% off so they know that you're listening to my show. Earpiece can save your ears from permanent hearing loss. Once again, that's earpiece.com and promo code D15, DEE15 for 15% off. Second of all, but that's my, I've been around, so I know stuff. That's why people are paying attention to me. Some people. Some people. And some of the questions went from the show and got picked up by the online magazines, and I don't know the answer to this question. I'm kind of, you guys may, but these online magazines, are they completely online now? Because I look at them and I know that some of them used to be rags, used to be magazines, but now like Classic Rock, classicrock.com or Ultimate Rock, they were mags, but now they're, are they still magazines, or they've just given up the paper and just gone purely online because the magazine industry and newspaper industry is dying a death? I guess it doesn't really matter because it's however people are getting the information. But I call them magazines because I'm used to some of them being magazines. But they're picking up my answers and they're posting. We talked about this. We talked about the trolls. We talked about, I don't even look at the comments because I know that some of the magazines, because I make such like opinionated statements that I know that some of the magazines are posting it just because that's perfect fodder for people to react. When someone says it's black, and there's people who are going to say, yes, yay, D, it is black, and other people are going to say, that D's an asshole, it's white. But that's the beauty. When you get a wishy-washy answer, it doesn't really allow for conversation if you're going, well, most of the time, blah, 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 but there are exceptions, so it's unfair to say everybody when probably in the reality of things, it's really half and half. Who's going to complain about that? You just made like no statement at all. So I'm, firing off statements that are mostly true, at least in my educated opinion. And some of them got reactions. And there's been 4, the rules of rock, or I don't know if they call it who will rock you, but I've been retweeting them. And one of them, it's the Queen. Hold on a second. Here's a rule to live by. I don't pick up the phone for anybody except my family. I don't care where I am. I don't care what I'm doing. If one of my kids calls, now my grandkids, or a family member calls, and it's just, if you, and I'll be in business meetings, like important business meetings, and the phone, I won't keep it on, but I like to be in touch. And if I look, I'll say, excuse me, it's my wife. And if they don't get that, they're not going to get me. If they and you know when I will say fairness, 9 times out of 10, the guys go or girl goes, absolutely, I'm the same way. So I mean that's the one rule. You know, pick up the phone when your family's on there. Anyway, this said, so there was a couple of things I talked about that got reacted to, and I hope I remember the second one because the first one comes to mind relates to the joke: how many frontmen does it take to change a light bulb? How many lead singers? And the question was, what does it take to be a rock and roll frontman? And I said this. On the resume, there are 3 questions. Are you a narcissist? Are you self-absorbed? And are you an egomaniac? I said, if you can answer yes to all 3 of those questions and you got some kind of a voice, you could be a rock and roll frontman. Well, that got picked up by a lot of the websites, from Blabbermouth to Guitar Player to heavy metal websites. Dee Snider says, Dee Snider says, and then people commenting on Twitter. That's the one I follow mostly. I am on Instagram, but I have people who also post on there. I'm not like up to speed on that one. And the same goes for Facebook. My people handle that one, but Twitter, that's me. And I really read. I try to read every one that comes through. So that's, you're thinking, oh, cool. Dee's reading everyone. Yes, I am. And if you're thinking, oh, good, I'm going to, I'm a dick and I'm going to like send Dee a shitty tweet. It's like the minute I see it, it's just like block and you're gone. My Twitter feed, which has got hundreds of thousands of people on it, is just so wonderful. I mean, people talk about, I know people like Dave Draymond from Disturbed. Great guy, by the way, and I'm excited. I got a show out at Sturgis opening for Disturbed this summer. I'm really looking forward to it. But I know he shut down his Twitter feed because there was such hostility. Dave's a guy like me, strong opinions, and he's very outspoken about a lot of things. And he shut down his Twitter feed because people were attacking him. But I don't know, Dave, why didn't you just block those motherfuckers? Why? It's sort of like surrendering. You can say, well, blocking them surrendering too, but no, it's not. Just putting up a wall, nice fence. You stay over there, I'll stay over here. I'm having a good time. I don't want to know your reality. But people reacted, and some people were taken aback by my statement. Some were like saying, Dee, that's not true. You're a nice guy. I know, I've seen, blah, 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 what you've done. I don't mean to trivialize the nice things they were saying, but they were like denying what I was saying for me. And then other people were saying, that's not true. You don't have to be an asshole to be a great front man and blah, blah, blah. I've been saying blah, blah, blah a lot. I want to apologize. Sometimes that happens. We just like hook onto a phrase and just start repeating it for some reason. I'll try to stop that. And I'm here to say to you, first of all, the person you see on the stage, the front man, and I'm talking about frontmen. This does not hold as true with guitar players, singers. This is very much the frontman vocalist. Okay? That individual who has no instrument and who stands out there and entertains you without an instrument, just his voice, his speaking voice, his performance, his movements. The front man. That's a front man. Okay? Once you strap on a guitar, yeah, you can say you're the front man of the band because you're Springsteen is a great front man. Plays guitar. And so, so you can still be a front man and play guitar, but there's something, when I'm saying that narcissist, all those things, it's really applicable to the guy who thinks that he can just walk out there. And, we don't think that we can just walk out there, but that we're going to go out there and you're going to want to watch us. That we don't need to play a guitar. I played guitar for a while, and I gave it up because I sucked on guitar and I could sing. Plus, I didn't want to carry equipment. What do I look like, a roadie? So here the singer didn't have to carry anything, and he was like the main dude. So I love that. So I am talking about the frontmen in the bands. And the frontmen that you know and you see, what you see is the persona. You see the image, you see what we're allowing you to see, and what you need to see. There's certain aspects of the personality that you don't need. And this is one of the tweets that came up. They said, "Oh, Dee, you mean," he says, "of course, what you do on stage is an act." And I had to correct those people. And I connected Mick Foley with this one, the wrestler Mick Foley, who, wrestlers, they're frontmen. They're out there, they're entertaining, they're performing, they're talking to the crowd, they're frontmen. It takes a certain thing. And Mick and I we used to have a regular breakfast together. We were neighbors. And we used to talk about things like that. We would explore, again, that thing I discovered, that similarities, even though he wasn't in playing music, there was a lot of similarities of what we dealt with day to day as a face, as a name, as a performer, as a persona. And one of the things that Mick and I deal with is that when we perform, it's very different from when we're off stage, leading people to think that what we're doing on stage, he's doing in the ring, is an act. And Mick and I discussed this at length, and I brought up the analogy, and Mick agreed with this 100%, that there are two sides to a coin. The heads, the tails, two very different sides. They're nothing alike, but neither side exists without the other. They're two sides of the same coin. And without the head, the tail could not exist. And without the tail, the head could not exist. For Mick and me, and as soon as I started saying that, Mick was like, yes. Mick is the hardcore superstar, Wild Man, Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love. I'm, the bloody bone makeup guy. But it is those personas that allow our street personas to be normal and well-adjusted. We could not be the men we are on the street without having that outlet for that other side of our personalities. Without it, we would be dysfunctional people. And mind you, being older now, I've matured. I'm talking more about when I was younger. Young and insane. But if I was calm and if I was polite and if I was intelligent walking around the street, people say, I met Dee Snider. He was so nice. I would not be without that other side of my personality. So that's one thing. It's not an act. I mean, it's an act, Dude Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack, they're very different characters. But at the same time, Mick chooses these type of characters because they reflect something within him. Yes, even Dude Love. Okay? And the same, goes for me. But you see, even, you see me perform. You'll see any of your favorite frontmen perform. Then you'll see them in an interview, or maybe you'll meet them, and hopefully I mean, some of us are assholes to fans, but a lot of them, are pretty cool guys. And especially cool when you're coming up to us and telling us how much you love us. How can you not be cool to that? So it's easy to be cool when you're getting that. And you think that, I saw Dee perform. I met Dee off stage. What a great guy. What a cool guy. I'd like to think I am both of those things. But if you want to know you want to know about the true frontman, you got to talk to his band members. His band members see the truth. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And you look at the great frontmen, and so many of them have, you will see their wars with their bands, or the band, just do any reading. Do any reading, and you will know. I mean, I'm flashing on Roger Daltrey because he was a thug, and he used to beat up the guys in the band. Physical violence, which I had to cure him of because he was a thug. I met Roger, sweetheart. He was a dangerous man. He was a criminal when he joined The Who. He was out at night doing crimes. This is a fact, so I'm not going to go down that road. But you look at, Sebastian Bach at Skid Row, Dee Snider and Twisted Sister. I'm looking at 80s right now with I'm just trying to think of other frontmen. But you look at those situations, but go into the 70s. Look at Jim Morrison and the Doors. You see it in Freddie Mercury. You see, even though it wasn't a truth, he never quit the band, but they had problems with him. Freddie was a different animal. He was a different animal, and he was problematic because most were narcissists. We think that you should watch us. We think that we should stand out there in front of thousands to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of people, and everybody should be paying attention. I know I'm speaking for myself, and I haven't asked everybody. I know they think that way too. How else could we get out there and do what we do? If you weren't that full of yourself, they say, public speaking. They say people are more afraid of public speaking than dying. This is an old statement, but it's true. People feel public speaking is they put it above dying as far as the scariest things in the world. We public speak for a living. We choose to do the thing that the majority of people think is the most terrifying thing in the world. How could you do that? How could you choose to do that unless somewhere in your fucked up brain you thought you were worthy to be out there talking? You thought you were worthy of everybody's undivided attention. And I used to be a mental case with it. I'm like another level guy back in the old days. I mean, I would stop shows if people weren't reacting, paying attention, talking, doing something else. I would stop shows, turn the lights on them, and harass the fuck out of these people till they either left, decided they want to fight me, which I was fine with that, or they woke the fuck up and rocked. But it was really about me. I'm just telling you the truth. So you go through the list of front people, front men, front ladies. And if they're worth their salt out there. I was just watching really cool documentaries, a 4-parter. I forgot what channel it's on. The channel I don't get, but it had let you watch the first episode. to get you to subscribe to the other channels. And it's called Punk. And it's about the history of punk rock. And it was really interesting. But, you've got Johnny Rotten, Believe me, he's got the disease, LSD, lead singer disease. That's what they call it. He's got it. Iggy Pop, he's got it. You get any of these frontmen, you get any of these guys who are up there in your face demanding your attention, they got it. And I was saying, you talk to the bands. The bands, well, you can read about the bands. They will talk shit about their lead singers like we're the lowest piece of garbage in the world. And you know what? To them, we might be. We steal the limelight. We steal the attention. We a lot of times we're very demanding, and we get very full of ourselves too. As we get the success, as we get the attention, as we get the adoration, we start to feel that we are separate and more important. I'm just telling you the truth. But I have one thing that I want to say in defense of frontmen. And I want to say to the bands that despise us, you want us to front your band. You want us to go out there naked, essentially, and entertain while you do your thing. But you bring us in the band to do that. So you want a person that's got that level of confidence, yet somehow you expect it to be a switch of some sort that we're going to turn on and off. So, yeah, while I'm going on stage, Dee, flick the switch, be the rock star, be the egomaniac, go out there, and then when I walk off stage, you want me to turn the switch off and just be a normal guy. It doesn't work like that. Narcissism, egomania, all those things, self-centeredness, that's all mental issues. That's shit. It's personality disorders that we found the right job for. All right? It doesn't, so you can't have your cake and eat it. If you want a front man, if you want that guy who's got the balls, the literal balls, and, back in the old days, spandex, you knew we had the balls. You want that guy fronting your band, entertaining the crowd, winning the crowd over, talking to the crowd while you're fixing your guitar. That's always a wonderful thing, okay, this next one's called Stretch It Out. I broke a string, And while they're fixing their amps or whatever, you've got to stand there with your dick in your hand talking to the audience. But that's the front man. That's the job. That's what you do. That's what we do. So if you hire a front man, that's what you get. And that's what I say. You go through the litany of front men, and you people who wrote to me and said, "Oh no, that's not true." Blah 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 blah. Find that guy for me. And you know what? If you're gonna find some sort of, some withdrawn folk band where guys, I'm talking about the David Lee Roths, okay, the Stephen Piercys. I'm talking about the cock rockers, the Robert Plants, the Mick Jaggers. I'm talking about those guys. Find me one of those guys who's not a narcissist, who's not an egomaniac, and who's not self-centered and self-absorbed. And I will give him a prize. I'm not sure what prize, but I'll give him a prize. Actually, somebody gave me an air fryer that we're not using. So find me that person, and I will give him a brand new air fryer. It makes food crisp without using any oils. we don't cook anymore because the kids are all grown. So Suzette and I go out. So I have no use for the air fryer. So that air fryer could be yours. Find me that person. Now, what was the other question people reacted to on Who Will Rock You? We're going to need a second to think about. The rules of rock. Oh, I was talking about another one that people reacted to was staging a rock band. And I made an overstatement. Again, I already said that, I'm there to make statements, not to be wishy-washy. I'm there to engage you, to get, yeah, Dee's right, no, Dee's wrong. I want to, I'm looking for a response, and I'm giving my opinion. So I believe what I'm saying, but at the same time, I could qualify everything in. Well, in most cases, it ruins it. Okay? But I said, when you're staging a band, there's two ways you can go. One is fill the stage with lights and pyro and set pieces and, do a very elaborate stage where you're filling the stage with things. And I said the other is you, the band, fill the stage with your bodies, with your movement. Take control of the stage. And I talked about Twisted Sister, how we are a band that when people remember us, they remember us as being Kiss-like. They remember us as like being Big Show. And people will reference pyro and things. We never had one explosion on stage. In recent years, we've had some little bits, but nothing big ever. Some fire or flames or whatever. But we would have, most famously, the pink barbed wire fences. Remember that? Some people remember that. And the band used to say, Dee, you're our special effect. And the joke was we should put you in an anvil case, that's a road case, and transport you to the gigs. And then, open up the case, take you out, and put you out on stage, and then I go. But we believed that we were the show. We commanded the stage. And Twisted in his prime, it wasn't just me. The whole band owned that stage. And it was great. But so I said, these are the two choices you got there. That's not true. Okay? And, and most obviously it's not true with Kiss. I mean, Kiss, I never saw Motley Crue live, so I don't know. Poison, did I ever see Poison live? I think I did. I'm thinking because these bands had bombastic. Motley and Poison were very imitative of Kiss. And Kiss was taking Alice Cooper to the nth degree. Alice Cooper was the big stage show guy. But Kiss owned the stage. They were incredible performers. They still are. So in a Kiss situation, you can have both. You can have the big bombastic stage show and own the stage as well. So credit to them. So I said it like it was an either or situation. It's not either or. Okay. And lastly, so there was 4 questions, but 3 of them reacted. This is the other one that reacted really big. I want to comment. And what I've noticed is that really the only things people are interested in me talking about for the most part is music. I'll post all kinds of things up there, and on Twitter and whatever. And it's the musical ones that get the response. The other stuff, Strangeland, reacts very heavily on social media, my horror movie. But it's, that you're mostly interested in hearing what I have to say about music. And that's cool. I guess, I've done a lot. I have a lot to say. I've been talking a lot about new bands and the fact that there is a body of people, particularly older people, a lot of older people, who make the statement, there's no good music out there anymore. And it's a stupid statement. I'm sorry, you're being stupid. You have your bands that you love, and you've shut yourself off. When you were a kid, you were in search of the latest thing. You were reading the magazines. You were listening. Well, radio used to be radio then. You were sharing music with each other. It was a major part of a lot of our lives, our record collections, our music collection. And when you got older, I get it, you have other things to do. But just because you're out of the loop doesn't mean the music's over. And a lot of you talk that way. And it's a shame. Because along with that rock and roll is not dead or music sucks now thing, is this sort of either spoken, what happened to the great bands, or implied, in the statement that you hope you want great bands, but there's nothing out there anymore. You're not looking, and it is so easy to look now. It is so easy to find stuff. You just have to physically read articles, physically scour. Now, thanks to, and I say thanks begrudgingly, because as far as, bands making a living out of the music they create, these things are killing us. But Pandora, Spotify, things like that, where you can put in something you like and it will play other stuff, similar stuff. If you're just paying attention, it'll find the music for you. You're basically saying, I want to hear stuff like this, and it will find the music for you. You just got to open your mind a little bit. Because I'll tell you what, hearing new music, finding new bands, it triggers those neuroassociations in us. A neuroassociation is a mental trigger that we've created. And a neuroassociation can be good or bad. Neuroassociations can make us feel up, and they can also bring us down. Neuroassociation, a perfect example, is it's a smell, a sight, or a sound that triggers an emotion in you. That's a neuroassociation. So you smell, apple pie bacon, and for some of us, it's the holidays. For some of us, smell of evergreen is Christmas. You know what I mean? So there are we develop neuroassociations, and songs are very big. We connect songs to memories. And, that's why it's a very easy way if you're bummed out, if you're feeling shitty, songs that have always made you feel, pump you up. We're not going to take it. There are songs. Just put on those songs. I promise you, your mood will change because it's programmed in you. You can't be depressed when you put on those songs that pump you up. But what do people do when they're depressed? Most of the time, they put on depressing songs. They feed their sad emotion. What the fuck's that all about? Why would you do that? But they do. So we've got neuroassociations built into us, connected to music. Excuse me, I just burped in the microphone. I was just talking to my son about that. There was a time in radio and television, in radio, when I first started radio, I was introduced to the cough button. And in the studio, there is a button next to them on the console. It says cough. And what you're supposed to do is if you're talking on the air and you have to cough or burp, you press the button and it mutes the mic. Well, Howard Stern, credit where credit's due, he blew that one out the window. Cough button. Now people just burp, fart, puke, whatever. Just it's part of the conversation. you know? And I mean, I'm with you, Howard. I burp on stage, right in the damn microphone. Make a joke out of it, but I burp right in the middle. I'll be talking about, and I was like, that's that Czechoslovakian pizza for you. You know, and the crowd laughs. And, you know, I'm not going to, back in the old days, it was like, you Pavarotti, move the mic. Burp off mic, never burp into the mic. But neuroassociations, trust me, you have connected finding new bands, finding new music, finding a new song are all connected to positive mental associations. And because you develop them in your youth, they make you feel younger. They make you feel young, not younger. And when I find a new band, and over the years I found a few, I can name 3 who make me feel, 4 who give me that feeling. A band called Foxy Shazam, who unfortunately broke up after several albums. Ignite, who are an early hardcore band, came out in the very late 80s, from Orange County, Azzoli and the guys. Incredible band. Only put out a few albums. They recently put out a new album. Volbeat, and a band that I've been talking about endlessly on Twitter, and that is Monster Truck. These bands make me feel like a kid. It's new music that excites me, and hearing new exciting music triggers my memories. All of those emotions are all from when I was a teenager or my 20s. So it immediately gives me that state of mind. Just like listening to the old music. Older rockers, music fans, listen to the music of the soundtracks of their youth because of neuroassociations. Perfect example of neuroassociation, but you're using old music to trigger those feelings. Okay? Using old music to trigger, there's that alarm. So you can do it with new music, and let me tell you, it's not so repetitive. You're not triggering old memories. You're getting that great feeling with new songs, and you're connecting it to now. It's awesome. So, I've been talking about it because I'm trying to get people to realize, the older fans, that there's great stuff out there. I talk about being a vampire. I love new bands because they got that thing, that reckless abandon, that I've got nothing to lose. I always say the most dangerous person in the room is the person with nothing to lose. These bands today, they don't even expect to make a living. Well, a living, yes. They don't expect to get rich. I got in the business to be a rich, famous rock and roll star in that order. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be famous. How can I achieve that? Well, I wasn't that good in sports. I was pretty good in sports, but I wasn't like, professional level. But I can sing, and I love rock and roll. Awesome. I knew I could get rich and famous by being a rock and roller. And from the time I was 8 or 9 years old, 1964, all I ever said is, I'm going to be a rock star. That was my goal. The young people today, they want to rock. They want to play music. They don't think getting rich is part of the equation. They're hoping they can make a living. But they're doing it because they love it. They're doing it because they have to. These are all the right reasons. They're making music because they got no choice. They can't not make music. And that energy, when you hear a new band that's got that all or nothing, I'm swinging for the fence. I'm not leaving. I'm making all these sports references, leaving it all on the field. But it's true. It's like watching college football as opposed to professional football. The college football players, if they don't make the NFL, that's it. Their career's over. They're leaving. They're giving everything they got. That's what a new band offers you. And I say it's like being a vampire. when you're an old dude, like I watch and listen to young bands and I just absorb that energy, that fuck you. I wasn't Marilyn Manson. I wasn't born with enough middle fingers. I absorb that energy. And I've been spending a lot of time on Twitter trying to convince, I've talked about Monster Truck, but the real issue is take some chances, listen to some things, find things. It's going to lift you up. And it supports new music. Support these young bands. Instead of supporting all the old bands who don't need your support, some of them need your support. I mean, it's one of my overstatements. But young bands need support too. They need that energy from you. They need people to discover their music and share it and pass it around. And the band I'm on right now is Monster Truck. If you like, and the older music fans are saying, yeah, but it's this new metal. But there's plenty of retro influenced, classic influenced bands. There are ones who copy the old bands, and that's fine. But I prefer the ones who are influenced by the old bands, and it's new music with old influences. It's right in your wheelhouse. If you Volbeat, Monster Truck, Foxy Shazam, if you like, the classic rock influences in a younger band, you're going to find them in these bands. Foxy Shazam's got a heavy Queen influence without being Queen. All right, enough. What do I want to finish telling you? I just want to tell you, okay, I don't know the address, the email. I don't know the phone number. Maybe they'll put a Chiron on here. Please subscribe to the show. I was hoping I got to LA. I was hoping to stockpile some interviews. And it seems like the studio that we had out here for doing that stuff is not available anymore. They're looking for a new studio. So hopefully I find one while I'm out here in the States and I have some time to do some interviews. There's people I would like to interview. But at the same time, keep having these conversations, keep sharing with you, and hopefully I'm entertaining you. Hopefully you are entertained. So until next time, this is Dee Snider. I want to talk.